just have my driver's license. But I remember, because Dad, Alex Ybarrolaza would talk about the owner there and being involved in like cocaine or something.
Exactly. See,
right. So that's how it kind of all.
We don't know. I mean, what really happened once we got that far, we could take that with the lack of any other evidence. There's no other evidence.
What are you guys doing,
that
man?
He had done anything, improper. So we did a motion for summary judgment to get him this. We got the international out of it. But to this day, I don't know who the guy was. For real.
Right.
I don't know why they used him. And it made me wonder. It made me even more suspicious than I have been in the past. I was already plenty suspicious based on my upbringing about the folks who opposed organized labor, about folks who fight against unions.
They don't want organized labor and groups of workers involved,
And when you have a really nasty confrontation, back in the day, it was, Jimmy Hoffa broke legs. And when the time came he needed help, he went to the mob. Right. Well, here we have growers.
Which also happened in reverse, by the way, quite a bit. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, why did he need them?
That's how, yeah.
Yeah, why didn't he need mobsters? Because he was dealing with mobsters who would kill him and everybody around him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a reaction.
One movie got that, the Jack Nicholson movie, Hoffa.
Mm-hmm.
They really got the essence in a way that this new one,
the Irishman.
Yeah, the Irishman.
Can you believe I haven't seen The Irishman?
Yeah, I can believe it.
No.
I wish I hadn't seen it. I mean, what it's got to do with history,
Oh,
it's
right.
Like, it has as much real history as Star Wars.
We might have to do an Irishman rebuttal at some point.
Yeah. It's just watch, Jack Nicholson as Hoffa again, because what you see is a really dynamic, tough, working class leader who the employers are out to destroy. And they're going to take him down, and he goes to the only guys who can stop the employers from destroying the union. But, all I was going to say is, by the 1980s, 90s, here's a very tough confrontation, a very tough union that's determined to win, and who do the employers turn to? This time it's not, the local mob.
Right.
By this time, who are the real criminals? People involved in cartels that are dealing serious drugs across international borders.
Who are also doing business with...
Yes.
Call it our national security apparatus.
Absolutely. Exactly.
It's insane, Bill.
We live in difficult times. Or as the Chinese curse goes, may you live in interesting times.
Right.
We live in interesting times. I mean, you could say national security. You could say, the guys who run the world.
Right.
Putin, Trump.
Putin, richest man in the world, probably 2 times over, huh?
We think so.
Yeah.
We think so. And they're absolute criminals and mobsters. I mean,
I know. It's insane. Way to Trump, the whole Trump.
Yeah. No, he runs it like I have a buddy, an immigration lawyer, who writes a regular tweet, about immigration law. And he calls him Mafia Don. He says the guy runs his operation just like a Mafia Don, right? Donald Trump. He says, total loyalty, do what I say or you're out of here. You come up against me, I'll destroy you, right? And why are all these Republican senators afraid to break ranks with him?
Well, it's shocking. Mitch McConnell, obviously the only thing he cares about is keeping the Senate.
Exactly.
And my wife and I were just talking about the Georgia part where Trump could just, he could kill him in Georgia if he wanted to. McConnell, in other words, the Republic, he could he could sink them, the two special elections, and that's probably where his leverage is on this.
Oh, he has tremendous. Well, I don't think that's his only leverage. His real leverage is he has now said in the last few days, "I'm going to set up a new media company and destroy Fox."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we now know. Here's how I've begun to think about him. I told you I spent a few years in South America,
right?
Headquartered in Argentina. So I really studied the history there, so I'd understand.
Journalists in Argentina
during the Dirty War, La Guerra Sucia.
We'll get there someday.
We don't need to go there. But just by way of saying, someone like Juan Perón, is this fascist dictator, and they finally drove him out. But he goes and he becomes the dictator in exile, right, in Spain, and waits for his mighty return. And sure enough, he eventually returns and screws up the country some more. And you can look at that in country after country, where you have a dictator. The dictator is finally driven out by democratic forces.
Go back to Napoleon.
Yeah. And they go and they wait to come back. So I think what you have is all the Republicans are sitting there saying, there are, of the 70 million people who voted for him, I just read this that 10% of them think that Biden really won the election. 90% think it was a fraud that was stolen. So let's say,
is it that high?
That's what I read. So let's say it's not that. Let's say 50 million people who voted in America.
Right.
Trump is going to be on broadcasting and tweeting every day of the week to that 50 million.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with him. I will say this: he's pretty high energy.
Oh yeah, and he takes good drugs. And they gave him special ones.
The Adderall.
And he's going to say, "I'm coming back." 2024. And so all the Republicans know, if I step out of line, if I say, let's honor Biden, let's do deals with him, let's actually move the country forward, he'll destroy me and I'll lose my next election. So, and I'll,
Right. And then, that's why I've always thought open primaries everywhere. It seemed like a good idea. But instead of racing to the far edges of each party, you kind of have to race to the middle a little bit.
Exactly. No, this is, that's why I say we live in dark times and we're not through them.
The American politics have gotten so extreme,
right?
As far as catering to the bases.
Well, and then the question becomes, okay, what's the union movement's role in all of this? Which is what I try to think of, because that's where we are and where we work. I think that one's really hard because we know as many as 40% of union voters in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, voted for Trump, not as high in Wisconsin and Michigan. And so our job is to figure out, okay, why are more union people in a place like Pennsylvania or Ohio voting for him than in Wisconsin, Michigan? I tend to think it has to do with the basic economics.
Yeah, how do you deprogram those people too? And then the social issues, which how people get wrapped up in social issues when they don't have health benefits is beyond me.
That have nothing to do with their basic economic well-being.
Right.
Yeah.
And nowadays too, it seems like every stimulus bill or every piece of legislation, the corporations hold hostage economic benefit for everybody, unless they get theirs first.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
No, it's the American way.
I know. We could talk all day, Bill.
How long have we been talking?
I don't know. Let me look.
Way too long.
No, not long enough.
All right.
Oh, it's coming up right up on an hour.
Okay, good. Cut out all the personal stuff about me, and you'll have a good 10 minutes. Okay?
So we're going to shut it off here. Can we do this again?
Oh, sure.
I want to hear about Argentina.
Oh, sure. Nah, and we'll talk more about the labor movement.
Well, that
talk
too.
More about the people that we fought for.
And history. Maybe we learn a little bit of our history. We start here.
Oh, there's a lot of labor history to talk that's really, really important.
All right. Well, thanks, Bill.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
This is fun.
Thank you so much for listening to the Unionist podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to Bill Sokol as much as I did talking to him. If you liked this episode, I would really appreciate your help by reviewing the podcast in Apple or Google Podcasts. It's a big help. If you want to learn more about the podcast, you can head over to unionistpodcast.com. And until next time, I will leave you with a quote from Jack London. Life isn't a matter of holding good cards, but sometimes playing a poor hand well. Thanks.